welcome to the planning board meeting of August 11th, 2026. Time now is 7:01 p.m. And are there any items not anticipated 48 hours in advance? Hearing none. I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting at 7:01 p.m. Is there a second? People are muted.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor? Brett?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
I don't see Rob.
Rob is joining. He is, I don't see his audio on. You have enough to open it and we'll just announce when his audio is working.
Okay. I am an I as well. All right. So the agenda tonight is going to be, there's a hearing at 7:15, the continuance of Meadowbrook Commons EA multifamily application. They've requested a continuation to September 1st, so we'll open the meeting at 7:15 and have that discussion. The current planning board business, item 1, Coolidge Crossing update and subsidized housing index status. The second item will be a zoning bylaw review update and discussion. Moving on to item 3, business general versus business professional zoning districts. Item 4 would be potential land swap for 0 North Main Street. And then other business would be reports on meetings with other boards and entities. And then the town planner report.
And the minutes from 7:21.
Oh, yeah, I missed that. I'm sorry. So we do have to put the minutes from July 21st. All right. So motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
Is there a second? Oh, yeah, second.
You can do it, Jim.
All right. So, all right, Brett,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I am an I as well. All right. So moving on to minutes. We all had a chance to look at the minutes from July 21st.
Yep.
Are there any edits or amendments?
I got just one little typo. Page 4, second paragraph, second line. The most important outcome of which reinforced that thought. I think that word is thought is meant to be though or although.
Page 4.
Page 4, second paragraph, second line. Second last word.
Is it? Sorry, I have some edits in here. Let me go back to. Is it in this paragraph that I've edited, or is it in a different paragraph?
Is it the word thought changed to
Yeah,
thought?
I think you've already edited it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just was trying to simplify this because it seemed a little repetitive. Jane, I think Jane, you were on.
I am, yeah. And I
Okay.
had a couple of comments on the original draft, but let me look at the new changes. I don't necessarily object to that. If you want to just leave it like that, I guess that's okay.
It's up to you. I don't
Did-
mind improving it
Um,
if it needs to be improved.
Well, the only thing, and I'm not sure this matters for purposes of the minutes, but I think the most salient point was not necessarily the distinction between site plan and special permit and that you could have either, but that whatever you have, you cannot deny, well, I guess under a special permit, you cannot deny except as necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare. So I think that's probably a concept that should be in there.
It's sort of, they carry Dover Amendment like protections. Maybe that they say that prohibit towns from denying such projects, but allow towns to regulate primarily on, does that work if we put it up there?
You could deny a project under a special permit, but only as necessary to protect health, welfare, and safety.
I see. Prohibit towns from denying such projects except on health, safety, and welfare grounds.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it. Yeah. But I don't have any problem with the changes. That was another point we discussed, so that's fine. The changes in the second paragraph.
Okay.
I also had a question. Oh, another small little typo in the first paragraph under town planner report.
Mm-hmm.
There are, let me get to it, sorry.
Was it at the top or?
No, it's at the end of it's very close to the end of the minutes.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Town planner report, there you go. And number 2, and then it says and again, so we've got 2 ands. But the other thing, and I'm not sure, if you go back up to item 2, draft priority habitat map. I think there are some words missing in the sentence that starts to remain protected. I think something's missing there, but I'm not quite sure what. I think some words are missing. Must be reported to the state or the
or the designation times out after 25 years.
I see. Maybe I think it was times out that was.
Yeah.
Because I think Tom mentioned you had to have a certain number of sightings. So the timing, I got confused and I thought that was supposed to be a reference to how many times you saw.
Okay.
The
I just put
wildlife,
it in as a quote to make it
yeah.
clear.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Or
Anything else?
expires? Is that, I mean, we can leave it like that, but is expires more?
I don't care.
Any other items? Okay, hearing none, like to make a motion to accept the minutes from July 21st as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. So Rob,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Steph,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So it's about 10 after right now. What do you think?
I
Would
think
be
you can
the
start with number 1, the Coolidge Crossing update, SHI status,
okay?
see where we get.
Yeah. So excuse me. The Coolidge Crossing update and SHI status. So last Thursday, the ZBA met, and their agenda included a request for modifications to Coolidge Crossing. Their letters posted online following the meeting, which it's under the town website, under the land project section, and included. So the proposal was to increase the number of units from 120 to 132. There was some road width and parking space modifications and further stormwater modifications. So basically, the ZBA determined that this constituted substantial changes, and they've scheduled a public hearing on September 8th. And after a peer review of the proposed stormwater changes. So other items to be considered affecting Meadowbrook Commons include that will impact what we're going to be reviewing, include the possible easement for emergency access across the Meadowbrook site, and then further any permits needed for the MWRA crossing on Gray Road, facilitating the emergency access to both projects. So this, as we know, crosses a historic brick aqueduct. And I think there's been some discussion with MWRA who had some comments on that crossing. And are there any other planning board members that have additional comments on this, or? So some of the concerns that MWRA had was that anything that crosses the historic brick structure be engineered, number one, and be capable of the H20 loading. Is that correct, Heidi?
Right. Right. So the only discussions were I reached out to MWA asking, as a planning board, what types of conditions should we ask for? Because I wasn't sure what it stands, and it's going to be up for Toll Brothers to figure out how to meet them, but I didn't know what to advise the planning board to look for. And MWRA said there is an 8M permit process to go through, and that they consider this a historic structure and some engineering would be required. So my guess is part of our conditions, we're going to require that they have a full permit from MWRA.
For Meadowbrook Commons, right?
Yes, right. But it affects Coolidge. And that's when I was hearing the Coolidge discussion. They're counting on their emergency access going through Meadowbrook right now.
Yeah.
So Meadowbrook will have to have some sort of an emergency exit, right? But it's not separate from the primary entrance.
Right. That's my understanding. And it's something we'll have to, I think the whole thing will hinge on Coolidge Crossing, which is a sister project and has a shared infrastructure with Meadowbrook. The fire department will have to sign off on whatever conditions they come up with, that they're satisfied with the access on both projects.
So for Coolidge Crossing, I did watch the ZBA meeting, and it sounded like the public hearing was going to be limited in scope to those items which were deemed to be substantial changes. And so I just want to clarify, I don't think the emergency exit is one of those changes, right?
No, it's not going to be. And I think even though it is going to use it, I think the only thing that is going to be before the planning board is Meadowbrook.
Right. So
when it comes time to that in our hearing, we'll address it.
yeah, I just don't know if there's going to be an opportunity within the context of Coolidge Crossing to bring it up, since it,
I know.
unless the fire department, in reviewing the width of the road, were to understand the issue. Marianne, I always appreciate your contributions. You have your hand up. Go ahead. You're muted.
Yeah, the 8M permit is going to have to specify that construction trucks will be crossing the aqueduct, not just vehicles. I mean, they'll tell you what they need, but it definitely was approved previously as an emergency exit, but not a general use exit of both projects. But
it was approved by MWRA?
No, it was not approved by MWRA yet for either of those things. I don't think it has an 8M permit yet. Heidi, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think.
No, to my knowledge, there has not been one filed.
Yeah.
But I don't know if now that we have two different owners, I don't know how this affects the project, where before it was the same owner and you didn't need an easement to go across another property. Does Coolidge Crossing now need to have some type of arrangement to be able to access Meadowbrook? I don't know. It's
during construction or during residence?
well, both if they don't own it.
Oh, yeah.
I think the issue of crossing the aqueduct was something that I raised and identified a while back, and certainly when the time comes to meet with the proponent of Meadowbrook, I'd like to have the opportunity to dig into that a little bit further with them, because history shows that there's some engineering associated with doing that, especially when you're dealing with fire trucks that could be 40,000 pounds, oil trucks 35,000 pounds, all of those kinds of things, and goodness knows whatever a tractor trailer would weigh coming in that way. So there's plenty of opportunities down the dare I say down Coolidge Street to address those issues.
It is. It's just we may not have, and this also affects Coolidge Crossing. I don't know what level this is being addressed by the Coolidge Crossing project. We'll also use the same infrastructure.
The issue, Chris, is that the Coolidge Crossing project has a comprehensive permit from the ZBA. And that comprehensive permit relies on the concept that was presented by the developer that their emergency access will simply be the road that Meadowbrook Commons is considering. So they have, as of now, Coolidge Crossing has a comprehensive permit on that, with that concept as part of the project.
Yeah, and I agree. And instinctively, my thought is, they would probably aim to use the main entrance to Meadowbrook as their emergency exit, as primary emergency exit, with the Grey Road as a secondary.
And Heidi, have you had a chance to follow up on that?
No, that's what I'm trying to look at what was approved.
Heidi's initial discussions seem to indicate that was not potentially not an option.
So site access is provided from full driveway off Coolidge Street. The project also includes an emergency gated access across to the rear of the project driveway, which would connect to an access road associated with the adjacent property at 104 Coolidge. By letter dated blah blah, the fire chief confirmed the access drive design provided sufficient access and that roads to the rear of the buildings would not be necessary. He confirmed that the building permits for the clubhouse, they talked about the clubhouse. Somewhere I thought they said Gray Road, but that's all I see, is that it's going to go through the adjacent property.
Do we need to look at a site plan?
I was thinking, seeing the Meadowbrook site plan to see where this road should be marked on it, if they're planning an access into Meadowbrook.
It's into like the middle of Meadowbrook, I think. It's something I'm happy to reach out to the fire chief and ask him what his interpretation is. And if he's okay with it going out the Meadowbrook exit onto Coolidge Street as opposed to Gray Road, then that's fine.
Yeah, I do think of this more as a Meadowbrook project issue than a Coolidge issue.
Yeah.
Both in terms of the scope of what the developer needs to do, but also in terms of where we are in the process and what we can affect for those two projects, because there's just not much that we can affect at Coolidge Crossing right now.
No, but I'd want to be clear what they consider the emergency access.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just looking at a basic plan. I could not tell from this where that road would enter into the Meadowbrook project.
Well, for the Meadowbrook project, it has been submitted as a comment by the consultant. So we can wait for that process. I mean, it came from you, Chris, right? Heidi has been forwarding all of the comments to the consultant. The consultant has compiled it and added their own comments. That has been transmitted to the Meadowbrook developer, and we have to wait for that back and forth to play out. There's nothing more to do at this present time.
No.
But by the time we get to our next, well, we're going to open a public hearing in a minute here and then continue it. And that at that continuation, hopefully we'll be able to get some answers before then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do we want to
Did you
open?
have anything to add about the SHI process?
Yeah.
That was on the agenda, and I don't.
Yes, do you want to just quickly open and close the other meeting and we'll go to the SHI?
Can I
Okay.
ask a quick question about something I heard at the beginning of the ZBA meeting? I think they said that Toll Brothers had spun out their apartment unit to whatever the new Kennedy, is it Kennedy Williams or
Yeah,
whatever?
Wilson, yeah.
Wilson. So I was just curious as to whether anybody really knows much about them. I'm guessing maybe their pockets are not as deep, but I don't know, and I'm just curious if we know anything about them.
Marion.
Well, I've looked them up and I don't know a ton about them, but it's a very, very big company. Real estate investment mainly and development. But for our purposes, it's important to know that the team that Toll Brothers was had together for apartment living, Will Adams and that bunch, have all moved to Kennedy Wilson on paper, if not in reality. I think this is all on paper. And it's all the same people that were working on the Toll Brothers apartment complex now as Kennedy Wilson. I think Toll Brothers just sold a whole tranche of their company to Kennedy Wilson, along with all the people that went with it. So personnel-wise, there's really no change,
Thank you.
if that helps.
Yeah. They just spun it off into a newly named company, from what I can tell.
I think Kennedy Wilson already existed.
Yeah, I think they're out of California.
So Toll Brothers company.
Yeah.
Should we do the hearing thing real quick?
Yep.
All right, so it's 7:24. We have the Meadowbrook Common EA multifamily application continuation, and then they've requested an additional continuation to September 1st at 7:15 p.m. So is there so I'll make a motion to open the hearing at 7:24. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Steph? Steph?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Brett?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. As I said, the request was to move the hearing to September 1st at 7:15. So do we want to vote on that now and close the hearing? Is that what we need to do, Heidi?
You can vote to close the hearing with a continuation for September 1st.
Okay. So make a motion to continue the hearing to September 1st. And then we'll close this hearing at 7:25. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so Brett,
Aye.
Rob,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
I'm an aye as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is wrong with All right, so do you want to continue the discussion on the subsidized housing inventory, Heidi?
Yeah, I thought this would be a good time to kind of update the planning board, where we are on our subsidized housing inventory numbers, where does the Coolidge Crossing numbers take us, and just to give a status of where the town is moving. So currently with the state, we have 49 subsidized housing inventory units. It's broken down that Woodhaven counts for 24. The Fields, we have 8 units there out of their 32. Meadowbrook Edge Meadows Edge / Whitney Farms, we currently have 4 out of the 48. There's about 17 to 20 that are built. We have 2 more that will be coming online in the next, probably by December, of the affordable housing units. Eventually that will get 12 units out of the 48 added to us, but only 4 currently add. 59 North Main, we have 3 units out of the 12. Leland, there's 10 units out of the 16 or 17, so we have 10 that counts, and that brings our current total to 49. When all those projects get completed, we will be at 57. If you add in Coolidge Crossing, right now that's 120 units, which would be 30 are affordable, but we get to count all 120 because it's rental. You add 132 units, extra 12, we will get 33 actual rental unit, affordable units out of it, but again, would count all 132. Meadowbrook Commons, we will be getting 7 units from them because that's 10% out of that development. So once Coolidge and Meadowbrook are completed, we should be looking at, if you go with the 132 units, we will end up with 196 SHIs. If you look at our percentage, currently right now, the state has our housing listed as 1,547. So the 49 units that we have now, we're at 3.1%. If we look at, based on 2020 numbers, 2022, our numbers went up to 1,562, and a recent 495 study for last year has our housing as 1,575. So if we use even the 1,575 as a top number, and if we have 196 SHIs, that's 12.4% of where we would end up on our subsidized housing inventory. So we're making progress, bits and pieces, but Coolidge really is the one that's going to bring us over our 10% number. On other news, there have been some housing bills that were floating around, and one of them was to change the calculation for SHI, where they would make it on amount of land in town, which would not be beneficial to Sherborn. That bill is currently gone to study. So I've talked with James Arena DeRosa's office. They will be trying to follow that and seeing if that gets reintroduced. But that has been, it's the second time it's come around where they want to change how municipal land area is calculated, and that would probably hurt us with a large amount of land. Another one I've heard a kind of more of a rumor on is that they're looking to potentially change the way that we count SHI by, like, the rental units, that you can only count the actual number of units, because 120 units is really not 120 affordable units. That could potentially hurt us as well as trying to reach the 10%. But I have not seen any bills from there. I've not seen any more traction on that. It's just, as we know, the state is really looking at ways to push housing and trying to get towns. There's talk about making all lots allow duplexes by right, which would severely change our character of town if every land was there. So the state is mulling around all different ways to try and get numbers and to try to push housing forward. So I just kind of want everyone to be aware of it. We'll try and keep on top of it. Right now, nothing, these are all just ideas, and nothing has come through as being things we have to consider.
Tom Trainer has his hand up.
Thank you. Heidi had a quick question on those SHI numbers that you zipped through, particularly at the end when you got to 12.4. I just wanted to check, does your 12.4 include in the denominator all those new Coolidge and Meadowbrook Crossing units?
No, it does not.
Doesn't it have to?
It probably would, but we don't have an exact number right now. So yes, it should include that. It's not going to change it that much. We'll still be over 10. I'll add those in right now. Let me just see.
It'll be 0 at Coolidge Crossing. I'm sorry, no, that's wrong. They'll be
No.
all at Coolidge, the same number, 132.
Yeah,
Yeah, instead of 1575, it'll be
it'd be
1575.
1774.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus 132.
Yeah.
And what's the calculation there?
So hold on, 196 divided by 17.
You gotta be
11%.
Okay.
Okay. Good question, Tom.
Small cushion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Marianne?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I think the denominator officially changes. That is, our total residence number changes with the new census every 10 years. But yeah, we're looking forward, 2030 will be here before we know it. So
Yeah.
And did that include all the Meadowbrook units?
I
as
added
well?
Meadowbrook too.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to move on to zoning bylaw review updates and discussions? Or do we have any other things to discuss under Village Crossing and SHI? All right, so there's a number of materials to review under the zoning bylaw review updates. So hopefully we can get through the commercial categories. And do we want to look at the table first? But I also want to mention that there's other topics for possible discussion, whether we get through the table or not. So we'd have possible data center discussion. And I also wanted to mention that Mike Newman has been working on reviewing the zoning bylaws. He has some initial comments, but is expected to have more. And we'll probably discuss those at a future planning board meeting, not necessarily tonight. And then the solar bylaw language that Jane's been working on, depending how we're doing for time, we could look at that tonight or have a discussion in the future on those items. So those are some of the topics. And we want to start looking at the table and having that discussion and see how things move. And if we're on time, look at possible data center items and the solar bylaw discussion. Any thoughts?
That works for me.
Okay. Do you want to bring the table up, Steph, or do you want me to? Or
I'm trying to. Oh, there it is. Things kind of move around. So Heidi sent out a lot of materials. I am extremely hopeful that everyone had a chance to at least look at them because it is complicated. When Heidi sends out lots of materials with a subject line in the email that says, please review before the meeting, I'm really asking people to take that seriously. So I'm sharing a spreadsheet right now that shows our existing uses, which is helpful. It's a point of reference to what's in the current bylaws. There is another tab down here that says full list use of options, full list of use options. I'm going to go there in a minute. What Heidi has attempted to do is to take this kind of jumbled up ad hoc list in no particular order and create categories of them. We've talked about this loosely in the past, and Heidi's really put the pen to paper here to try and get something done. Now, there is also a Word document. I'm just going to jump to that quickly. It's going to just take me a minute to stop sharing, get the Word document open and reshare, because I think that's an important thing to keep in mind as we're having this conversation. So share. again, the commercial use examples. Okay. So this Word document, it comes from the consultant from Community Scale. And so it lists at the top, again, our current uses. And then it suggests a new structure, which is nested uses. I'm sure you all have looked at this, but the idea of nested uses is that you have some categories of uses and they are grouped by land use and, applicability, right? They're grouped, and down here in the narrative language, there's a lot more detail on what does assembly mean, right? So we might have clubs, might have conference spaces, recreation venues, museums, right? And all of that falls under assembly. So we're not taking up 10 lines in the table that all look the same, but instead we're kind of grouping them into broader categories and then nesting the sub-uses underneath the use. So this is just an example that obviously would need to be adapted to Sherborn. And I think that's kind of what Heidi is trying to do in the other spreadsheet. So we can just take a quick spin through here so you can get a sense, like assembly, we went through that. Make this a little bigger. Automotive, you would have gas stations, repair shops, car rental. Like this is not a Sherborn specific example. I'm just showing how broad the use categories would be. Then you would have bars, pubs, and taverns, bed and breakfast, an eating place, which could be, in our case, we have drive-through as a use, we have restaurant as a use, we have hospitality related eating, and then hotels, telecommunications, office and creative enterprises. So we're going to talk a little bit about this, right? Because we have office, we have business professional, we have business general, medical or dental. We do have a dentist. And then we have outdoor commercial storage as a category, outdoor recreation, retail food and beverage production, retail and personal services. That includes grocery and things, spas. Large format retail. Sherborn's such a small town. Sensitive retail and services like e-cigs, smoke shops, adult entertainment. We've talked about some of these things. Trade. And that's it. So that's the example. And so each category has like a broad sub list underneath it, but the use table is done by general category. So that's kind of the format that we're considering. So I'm going to stop sharing again and go back to the Excel spreadsheet where Heidi's already put some work into thinking about what these categories look like. Okay. So, okay. So right now you guys are seeing the existing use table, right? The tab on the left. And if I click on the tab on the right, does it change? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I'll leave commercial for last because it's the hard one. So residential, Heidi's already taken all of our zones and put them here with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze these panes up here so that we can freeze the top row so that we can see the zoning designations up here. So for residential, we have all of our current zoning designations. Utility, there's some suggestions here for how we could do utility because we're talking about those bylaws now, right? Potentially adding some of them in. We have agricultural uses. A lot of these derive from existing uses, maybe all of them. And then education and religious, are also existing uses. And then we decided, I think, Heidi, that we needed to add registered marijuana treatment center, right?
Right, right.
Because that's a weird state one, not weird, but it's state mandated that we have that as its own, and that's right now just
Business general is the only
permissive here,
Yep.
right?
Right.
And it's X everywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the easy stuff. And maybe there are other categories missing, like this one was missing. So if you're, we've been kind of going back and forth with these existing uses and trying to see if public utility, trying to see if what could be missing, but commercial is kind of the catch-all for everything else and maybe some new stuff, because we want to be, I think as Heidi said, if it's not in the list, it's harder to make a case that it could be a business in town, and we're trying to be in a position where we're encouraging businesses, right? So we want to, maybe we have an other category, I'm not really sure, but there are, I guess, Heidi, do you want to speak at all to what you have listed here?
No, I think the hard part's going to be deciding which uses we want to be allowed. So we have assembly, and we have things on like office things. We still may want, and retail and personal services. Some of those things we still might want to have a site plan review or a special permit, and some may want to be allowed. So we may have to subgroup some of those out. And that's kind of what I wanted to go tonight, is saying assembly. Do people think that should just keep it as site plan review, or do you want it special permit? And just try to look at what the category definitions had been. Automotive, business general, do we want site plan review or do we want special permit? I think most of these commercial things, we know they're not in the residential districts. So I think that's pretty much assumed that these type of things are not going to be in our residence. And I said, maybe we should just get an agreement on that. Is that what we want, all those X's to kind of be there first for those categories?
I have an embarrassing question. Is assembly putting stuff together or getting people together?
People.
Okay.
So like clubs and nonprofits fall under assembly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, I can't like go back and forth with you guys. But it's like private clubs, auditorium, museum, theater, facilities for public gatherings like a community center, entertainment, arts and recreation venue, movie theater, dance club. Just reading from examples from the other bylaw that was shared as an example. It doesn't have to be what we have in assembly, but this is what the intention of the word assembly was. Meetings and conference centers, conference spaces.
Home occupation is allowed in all zones. So isn't it may be allowed by zoning, but don't you need a business permit for a home occupation?
This has nothing to do with permits. That's going to be a separate thing, because right now, you need a stable permit, but we only look at zoning here.
You need a liquor license up here.
Right.
This is just land use.
Right. It's confusing because, some is permissive. That's the zoning. Some is allowed, but you still have to get permits like elsewhere for many allowed activities.
Right. That's exactly right. So I guess Nora has her hand raised. She might weigh in on the business side.
Yeah. Just what about distribution centers? Like big distribution centers. I don't see that in there unless you think it's under, just throw that out there.
Like what can you describe a distribution center?
Like
an Amazon?
Like an Amazon.
Large format retail.
large,
But
warehousing.
it's not
Where
retail.
that I'm thinking warehousing
Yeah.
Yeah.
and data centers.
Data
Data-
centers could be under telecommunications.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
indoor, which is interesting.
Well, they are indoors, so.
Yeah, but I was thinking like
We may want a separate line for data centers. That's one of the things that is on my list to like say, what do we want to do? I think that the warehouse might be one we want to add into this if we want to do that.
I think we need to have a line item, as I said to you, Heidi, earlier, on telephone exchange buildings. We may not have one in Sherborn, but most towns do, and those could be anything from a small building that houses Verizon equipment for that town. They often look like houses in small town, and you wouldn't know the difference. But most other towns and cities have that item. That would be
separate from indoor telecommunications.
I don't know if that covers that. I think specifically we would have to list telephone exchange buildings.
Yeah, that makes me think about the cell phone tower we got up on whatever hill it is, and I remember it's an adjacent accessory building for the electronics.
That would fall under wireless communications, I think. But Verizon, oftentimes, every town would have a what's called a telephone exchange building, which houses all of their servers for that town handling.
Right. They do list that here under indoor telecommunications. They say facilities primarily used for indoor telecommunications purpose, including number one was data centers, blah, blah. Number two is telecommunications building, a facility used to house equipment and technologies used for telecommunication services, such as exchanges, switching equipment, and other related hardware.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's in there. And the other one was telephone central buildings, a building used for central operation of telephone networks, including facilities that have associated garages or setbacks used for service vehicles or additional storage. So I kind of feel like they are addressing it, Jim.
Okay.
Would things like that are seasonal in nature, like Silverwood Farm, their wedding venue, or if Dowses wanted to start using the orchard as a wedding venue, would that be under
Agriculture,
farm for profit?
farm events under
Yeah.
agricultural uses.
Okay.
So do we think data centers falls under indoor telecommunications then, and we just want to make sure it's explicitly included there?
You know, they have it here, but I'm wondering if we should have it
Separate.
to be
Okay.
clearer. Because,
Okay.
you know, I think we want it to be for our
Up and coming.
residents looking, and I don't think data centers you normally think of to say it's an indoor telecommunication. We can say indoor telecommunications / data centers, but we might want to have a separate category.
I don't want to treat them the same. In fact, we
I
probably.
don't think you do. I think you want to. I'm sorry, Jane.
We're saying the same thing, Jim, I think.
Yeah, I think I prefer separate because they are
Okay.
very different animals.
Great.
Yeah.
What is clean manufacturing?
So let me see what they list up here.
After telecommunications, can you just put / telephone exchange?
In the title?
Yeah. Because most other towns explicitly state that. And it's something that most towns have.
I don't think I'm seeing her definition because I don't think they put that in for our town. I think I copied it from there.
And I would agree that data centers are entirely different.
So do you want to keep clean manufacturing, or what's the proposed?
I don't
I'm
think
not
we
sure
should
what
have
it
clean. Yeah, I don't think we should have clean manufacturing.
It's like a GMP facility.
Yeah, And I do think we should ask, put in warehouse and distribution centers, maybe.
So would a distribution center be an inclusion under warehouses, or would it be a separate item?
I don't think we're allowing it anyway. I think you could say warehouses and distribution centers.
Okay.
It's up for people's thoughts. I mean, I don't think we're going to be approving them.
Nor is
Would those be listed as site plan review under business general, or just not allowed?
I would just say, you may want to say special permit if you want, or just say prohibited. It's under. Because the other question I had too was even under assemblies, I think most of those site plan review might be enough, but can anyone consider, is there anything that should be under a special permit? I can't think of.
Well, you mentioned gun clubs being excluded, but I don't know, some of the entertainment stuff, it could be it covers a lot of different types of entertainment.
I know.
Nora has her hand up.
How about storage facilities? Or commercial storage facilities?
Yeah.
Just
we had that in something.
Outdoor commercial storage.
Outdoor, but
yeah,
that's different from like a storage warehouse, right?
Okay.
Is that what you're thinking, Nora?
Yeah, I was thinking, and then also like solar, like if there's a solar field, I guess that would be under.
That would be our solar
Utilities.
bylaw.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. I won't comment anymore. I just thinking.
No, please do.
Nope.
It's okay. This is all the first time we're looking at this, so we're all
Yep.
So I think maybe what I'm hearing is that warehouses, when you say storage, Nora, you're talking about.
I guess it would also be warehouses. I'm thinking of like a Holliston, one of those, or those big storage units.
More like a self-store.
Self-storage, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's kind of a subcategory. That's different than I think of
Yeah,
a warehouse is.
It is.
But that would be outdoor commercial storage, wouldn't it?
But they have the indoor, like,
No,
the garage
they're
door
indoor.
type of thing.
Sometimes
they're climate controlled.
Like I think of outdoor.
Yeah.
Well, what is meant by outdoor commercial storage?
Right.
Sometimes there's places you could store like your boats and RVs and stuff out of season.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the definition that under outdoor commercial storage is, the second part said storage and sale of building materials or machinery, a facility used for storing and selling construction materials or machinery such as lumber yards, hardware stores with large outdoor storage areas and machinery dealerships.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some other storage facility use?
If we're going to have an open outdoor commercial storage, should we have indoor commercial storage?
Well, that's what Nora was suggesting.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's like, self-storage or commercial storage units or storage units. Outdoor commercial is, I think what they're saying is, if you have a bunch of trucks that want to stay there and not, get a 1 acre lot or something like that and store all their landscaping trucks there or.
Well, what if, do we want to decide that right now, I think the landscaping trucks have not necessarily been approved for most things. It's not allowed. What if it's just commercial storage? Indoor or outdoor?
Well, I think there's an important distinction. So for instance, if you go by on 1A, there's an equipment sales operation in I think Norfolk, if anyone knows what I mean. I think that's what that's referring to, outdoor storage.
Then why don't we then just put a category indoor commercial storage underneath it, add another line.
Or storage building.
Self-storage.
Self-storage facilities that could include just like what's in Holliston with those little garages or the big indoor outdoor ones.
So just call them indoor storage facilities? I mean, do we want to not even say commercial? I mean, I don't know.
I'd just say storage facilities.
Yeah.
Self-storage.
Yeah, /
facilities.
self-storage. I think that clarifies it.
But self-storage implies that would we want indoor storage for like a business to have a warehouse? That's not like an Amazon distribution center, but just storage of their own.
Well,
Yeah,
that's different. That's different, right?
Well, if you make
issue,
if you make it permissive, then it means they're allowed to come and explain what they're doing and what the impact is.
I'm just getting a lot of mixed messages and I don't know what to type. So
I know.
We're struggling to figure this out and define it right now.
I call it commercial self-storage facilities.
So when you suggested this, you were thinking of the place in Hollistown, Washington, that's like
Yes,
got roll-up doors and like just self-storage.
yes.
I kind of
Okay.
think you should, I kind of feel like this should be one of those nested ones. Like I liked what you had, the indoor storage facilities, and underneath it would be self-storage facilities as well as warehouse storage facilities for a business. I think that should be.
So the difference is going to be if it's a self-storage place, that's going to be people pulling up basically in your regular kind of vehicles. Whereas
Yep.
if it's a business, they're going to be mostly pulling up in sort of like commercial heavy vehicles and trucks and things. And so it's going to
So
be kind
that's
of
more like
different.
this category.
Right,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
right. But I kind of feel if you say indoor storage facilities, it allows us to do a nesting of defining different types underneath it. Self-storage, and if we come up with another term, I think the end result is we're still going to say it involves a special permit in a business general only area.
I just think we need to be careful about, because an indoor storage facility is probably also a warehouse, or at
Yeah.
least could fit the definition of warehouse. So if we
Yeah.
think we might have different, we might treat them differently, then we got to be careful about how we define these things.
So what if instead of saying warehouses, we said indoor storage facilities / distribution center, and underneath nesting in that, then you'd have self-storage and warehouses?
Because I think we would treat them differently. Like as Brett pointed out, when you go to a self-storage, it's like a car or maybe a U-Haul, right? But a warehouse or a distribution center would normally have large commercial trucks in and out.
But how are we treating them differently if we're going to require a special permit for both of them?
As far as land use goes.
Well, can I ask a clarifying question? I mean, it's if we nest, does that mean they must all be treated the same, or can you have different subcategories treated differently?
No, the nesting is all treated the same because only the top level is listed in the table of uses.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, but you can have, like, if it's permissive and we do a special permit and put the P, then the ZBA can weigh different factors to decide, what the impact of the neighborhood is on the project.
Right.
So it's a permissive means it's not guaranteed. Site plan review, if we put that, it usually means you're allowed to get it, but there's going to be conditions.
Yeah.
What is large format retail that's listed as site plan review?
Big box.
And again, I just started putting site plan review things down just for discussion purposes. It was not large format retail, large retail establishments with at least 30,000 square feet offering goods occupying significant floor space and designed to serve a wide customer base. Clothing store, furniture and decor store, home improvement stores, grocery store, pharmacy, electronic stores, sporting goods store, office supply. Should be, I would say permissive instead of site plan review based on that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
I literally started just filling out things in this to get us discussion. I wasn't going through saying it had to be a certain way.
I had a question about the cannabis business. I thought we had a specific prohibition in all areas for cannabis businesses, or is I guess is that treated differently from marijuana?
Treatment centers are different. I think what we said on that.
I think our bylaw talks about marijuana, so I'm not sure if there's.
Right, but marijuana for medical use in a registered marijuana treatment center in our bylaws is allowed by special permit in the business general district. And I think that was because that is a state requirement for a registered marijuana treatment center.
But I'm
That's
seeing what
different from a
Jane's
cannabis
saying.
business. I mean, that's,
Yes.
yeah,
It's not a dispensary.
right,
But-
exactly.
But I'm here, there's in section 170,
Yep,
establishments prohibited. This is under recreational marijuana.
yep.
All types of marijuana. Hold on, let me just click into this. Recreational marijuana. So 170-3 says establishments prohibited, and underneath it says consistent with MGL, all types of marijuana establishments as defined in MGL 94G to include all marijuana cultivators, marijuana testing facilities, marijuana product manufacturers, retailers, or any type of licensed marijuana related businesses shall be prohibited in the town of Sherborn.
Right.
So maybe we would say cannabis business other than a registered, marijuana treatment facility, because those would be treated differently.
Right.
Because that's down here.
Yeah.
Oh, we have data centers down here under utility communications. So do we need it up here?
I don't think so. Unless we want to keep communications, I mean, I don't know. I kind of felt it should stay with communications, but we can make it just utilities and not put communications there. I just thought wireless communications fit with data center.
And that's like a tower, like a cell tower?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we have our solar and battery, and I think data centers have a lot of the same implications in terms of noise and size and so that might be another reason to keep it there.
Yeah.
But indoor telecoms can be up here under commercial? Or would we move that down to utility and telecoms?
Probably makes sense to move it there.
Yeah.
So is the idea here that utility and communications would be the primary category and these would be the subcategories?
Yes.
But for residential, that doesn't work because these are not grouped the same. So each residential has to be its own, which makes sense for zoning, I think.
Yeah, it's more then again, the nesting of it, the explanations, we're still going to say a single family home is defined as blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think there'll be a little bit of narrative on each of these items.
No, but I'm saying we can't have residential as the main category in the table because these aren't all the same. So it has to be like residential single family, right? Just in the residential category.
Well, that's going to be true of utility too, I think, because the solar is, has
Yeah.
Dover protection, and the data centers we're basically trying to prohibit. So
I think it's okay if you go up even on the commercial. The whole commercial category isn't one setting. It's the subcategories get different things.
So that was my next question. Like if we were to say, like I was looking at sort of like some of the like permissive, right? We have
Yeah.
bed and breakfast, eating, hotel, like we could call that, commercial hospitality, right? And then maybe we have some name for the things that are allowed, like office and creative, retail and interpersonal, home. That's a bad example. Maybe there's some descriptor for this type of light commercial use that could categorize these and then nest them underneath. So we would have like multiple commercial nests, right? Each residential would be its own nest. That's just the nature of zoning, right?
Yeah.
But then maybe utility communications, we have, large scale or something, and then, I'm making stuff up. Maybe ag is all one nest, and maybe, daycare child centers Dover protected, right?
Right. Same with religious center. Private schools are going to be the only ones that aren't.
can I just ask why the nesting is so critical? Because I think we're getting bollocksed up a little bit because of the nesting, because we want to be able to treat things differently. I mean, is there any clear advantage to doing nesting?
The advantage is to have a simpler use table to look at. So when a resident's going to look at it, was going to be very easy to say, oh, I want to do I want to get a business. I have a shop. I want to gift shop. I want to go do it. I'm going to look at say, oh, it's commercial. It's retail and personal services. They're going to go then look down below and read what the description is of retail and personal services and see what are the allowed things in that and not allowed things in that, without having the whole bogged down table. Like right now, everything's all over the place there's no order in what our uses are.
But you just suggested that this would be its own nest with gift shop under it, right? So that would say
yes, but under so when let's just say the retail and personal services, all that is treated the same, but it defines what are those things that are treated that way. So they say retail sales and establishment selling goods to customers, including groceries, clothing, dry goods, convenience store, neighborhood market, supermarket, personal services such as hair salons, barbershops, tanning beds, whatever. So that whole grouping of retail and personal services would be site plan review.
So this is the nest then.
That's the nest.
This is not the nest.
No.
Okay.
So under our description, all those descriptive things follow that same line going across of what the allowability is.
I see. Okay, I misunderstood.
I'm just wondering if we do nesting, if we're going to end up, if there's anything within the nest that we would want, say, to have a special permit on, that means the whole nest has to be special permit. And I wonder if that's always going to be true, that we're going to feel that way about everything in the nest.
And that's what I wanted to do tonight, to kind of say, because then maybe that category gets broken down into two areas. That's what I was trying to say is like, let's look at assembly. Are we okay with assemblies being site plan reviews, or all the things that are listed in assemblies? We want to say, you know what? I think car wash should be a special permit. Okay, well, then we'll have assembly and then a separate one under, then car wash would be its own category, underneath assembly or automotive. But most of the things I think we're going to want to either do a site plan review, a special permit on some of these things.
Car wash is a good example because it'll use a lot of water, right?
Right. So we may want, I put down special permit review just for a starter, but we still might want assemblies to be a permissive, to have to go for a special permit, not site plan review.
Well, I think that would be true of some kind of an entertainment facility, but I don't know if it's true for just, a club.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, that's just my personal opinion. But and then would you have to separate out if we wanted to prohibit gun clubs? Would that have to be? I assume that have to be a separate category.
Yeah, yes, they said you can say in there, private club or lodge, facility used for nonprofit, blah, 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 and you can say except, prohibiting gun clubs. You can put an exception within that definition. And they did note that. So sorry, assembly is facilities designed for social, cultural, recreational activities that are gathering of people. That might just want to be site plan review. I don't know.
But assembly also had lots of other things in it.
It does. The entertainment part is bigger. If it's a commercial facility such as a dance club, nightclub, concert venue, concert hall, movie theater, gazebo, bowling alley.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the worst cases, because
Yeah.
if we go to site plan review and don't really have much ability to deny,
Right.
What's a worst case scenario? I mean, a loud entertainment venue or an adult entertainment venue, or
Yeah.
there are things that we probably wouldn't want to only have site plan review on, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm wondering if that whole category for assembly, why don't just make that special permit for now? Just make it a P. And the same thing with automotive, I would make that a P. Just because of the water or any other potential hazardous materials.
Let's remember that part of this whole process, right, is to have more allowed and site plan review uses. So where can we get those in here into the process?
I think it's gonna be more of retail. So bars, pubs, and taverns, do we want to keep that as a site plan review if it's on there, or do we want to have that be a permit? Because as it was noted, they're still going to have to get their business permits and other things as well to do business and licenses for serving alcohol. Are we caring about that their building has parking and is safety? I mean, there's a lot of things I look at that to me should be more of a site plan review on a facility like this in a restaurant in a way than a special permit.
Well, why would an eating place necessarily be different from a bar, pub, or tavern?
My thought exactly.
Yeah. So maybe they should be the same.
Or bed and breakfast.
Yeah.
Isn't parking just site plan review right now, Betty?
Parking is site plan review on most things, yes, but I think that it depends on what is going. If it's an adjacent to a business going in, some of those businesses need to have a special permit that would include looking at parking.
So could we just put parking as a standalone with site plan review and business general?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Is a drive-through is like Dunkin', right?
Yeah. Well, it could be a bank. Right now, we have a bank drive-through right now.
Does that have to be a special permit?
Special permit. Yeah. So I kept that a P.
Why? I thought we did a site plan review for Dunkin'.
I don't know. Is that all they did? I wasn't here when you did the Dunkin'. Was it because it was already an existing business that had? No, there was no.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it already had a drive-through.
Yep.
Yeah.
But for site plan review, you're looking at circulation, lighting, hours of operation. Like we covered all those things
in site plan review.
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is they didn't want to have too many drive-throughs in town. So if you make them site plan review, again, the assumption is yes.
I see.
Versus special permit, it's a maybe. So I'm kind of feeling drive-through review. I'd still rather keep it as a special permit, just because you don't want every business to think that they've got the right to get a drive-through. I think the downtown's pretty congested, and you've got a lot of very limited potential to have it safely.
And what's trade?
Trade is, let me go sensitive retail.
Retail.
Retail's up here.
And sensitive retail too.
Does
Trade is, they have it, facilities used by service-oriented establishments that provide specialized skills, goods, or services on and off-site, including a trade shop, a facility used for tools, storage, equipment, supplies, and light fabrication by a trade-based establishment such as a carpenter, plumber, electrician, HVAC, or roofer. General services, an establishment providing general services such as upholstery, appliance repair, or furnishing, refinishing. Vendor services, an establishment that supplies or otherwise services other businesses such as vending machine providers, linen suppliers, garbage handlers, maintenance companies, limousine service companies, food purveyors, or suppliers of alcoholic beverages. They actually have veterinary and pet services, establishment providing care and treatment of animals. We know what those ones are. Mortuary, undertaking, or funeral services, facilities used for, we know that one too. So that's how they divided trade.
I don't want that allowed.
No.
So then just say X prohibited. Yeah.
Or X, yeah.
Yeah. Out of that, would you ever consider a veterinarian or pet service?
Yeah. Potentially. And I think some of the trade things like, a handyman has his wood shop, right? Doesn't that fall into the definition?
I think that would be more into the home occupation that we were looking at. Which we didn't get into, but home occupation could be, the handyman, unless it's he could have his business there too, but I look at trade as being a larger scale.
Something like
What is driving these definitions? Are these like state definitions or?
No, these were examples from other towns that they had put together for me.
It's in the commercial use example.
Right.
Okay, so we don't have to have pet services, for example, under trade. Okay.
No.
Nora.
Nora,
I'm just using I own 5 Washington Street. I own that building, like Sherborn Gallery and Gifts and whatnot. So I'm thinking trade, like what if I wanted to, I'm using this as hypothetical, have no intention of doing it, so don't know. But I'm just thinking like if a smaller electrician wanted to be there, you'd probably want to know like how many how many vans he's going to have there, right? So I'm thinking, or a plumber wanted to rent out that space, or, somebody that wanted to do dog services, right? Like cleaning. I just thought of that when you mentioned it. So that I think would be something like a real life example, right? Because there's only limited amounts of commercial real estate that's really out there in our town.
And I don't think it would necessarily be a home, what's the category of home occupation. I think you might want a separate space to keep your carpentry stores and your machining, to do
that
your
would go
work.
under trade. If somebody, say an electrician or an HVAC company wanted to rent out my space and I was like, okay, yep, I'm closing on the store or whatever, and there's that space there, they'd have to pull I'm just kind of being hypothetical. They'd have to look under trade and they'd have to get, what would they have to do? Come before.
Well, this won't cover permitting. This would just cover whether the land use is allowable, right? This is our table of land use. So it would just say that like trade business could be done through a special permit, but we're not given the business license, right?
Right.
So and I think, trade in the example that they gave us, that the consultant gave us, is the Word document that you all got from Heidi that says commercial use examples. Like we may not choose to have, upholstery, right?
Right. And then if it's not mentioned, it's not allowed.
Due to like chemical washing and stuff like that, right? Or we may not choose to have garbage handling facility, right? But having it as so we can alter the definitions to exclude things that we don't want, but include things like the whole first category, which is tool storage, equipment, supplies, and light fabrication by a trade-based establishment, such as a carpenter, plumber, electrician, HVAC, or roofer. Like that's exactly the kinds of things that we were just talking about.
Right.
but we may exclude some of the other, the mortuary, for example,
Right.
may not make it into Sherborn's bylaw definition of trade.
Mm-hmm.
On-site dry cleaning, not allowed. So that usually has a lot
Maybe
of chemicals.
maybe pet grooming and pet daycare is allowed, right?
Right.
So, we can pick and choose from these definitions, like what.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. Sorry, just as like an actual example.
Yeah.
Right. And that. Okay.
No, so I would like to keep trade in with a permit designation if
Mhm.
folks are open to that.
And then put a star to exclude some definitions.
Mhm.
Add exclusions.
Why did we take out clean manufacturing? Wouldn't that just be a prohibited?
If it's because we have a bylaw, our bylaw says if it's not mentioned, it's not allowed. So if clean manufacturing is not
true for all these prohibiteds though, and we're listing other ones.
Well, so we have this in our existing prohibitions. Let me just look at what that is. 241-3. Prohibited uses. 1-3. Sorry, this is not being super helpful. 241-6. Oh, that's the wrong prohibited uses. Any building structure, sign, or any use of a building structure or premises not expressly allowed, permitted, or exempted by this bylaw is prohibited. So we have a catch-all for prohibited uses, and they all get the X all the way across the screen.
So I didn't, so you're saying there's nothing, we do have some things here that have X's all the way across the screen.
What?
For-profit.
That for-profit club?
Yeah,
That
I don't
seems
get that.
odd.
Yeah.
Yep. That's an issue that came up recently because we had a polo club that was interested in one of our sites, but they are a for-profit club, and Chris Caney told me they're not allowed anywhere.
So we're fixing that, right, with this bylaw revision? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
we're
the only,
hoping
it
to.
looks like that's the only one, Jane. I think the
Okay.
intention is that they fall under this category if they're not.
Okay.
So we should add that into here. We should add prohibitions, section 1.6.
Yeah.
Is the polo club gonna come back into the mix?
Well, the problem is
I'm just thinking like
they were looking
They
to
went to
be in a
Norfolk.
residential area.
Oh,
So
I
I
mean,
think that was another problem.
but
It's up to you guys to decide if you want private clubs in residential areas, but right now I think it's business is
Can I just-
possible.
and there's no
Prohibitions
way
is-
that
Oh, I'm
okay.
sorry. No, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I'm gonna I'll tap out because this isn't my there is no way that that could have been like approached to ZBA or anything like that, like or kind of had a plan.
It would have had to be a zoning bylaw change,
Mm-hmm.
Which someone can do, but you got to wait till April to bring it up.
Yeah.
And there might be ways to do something with an overlay district on a certain part of town to say, that there's an overlay district that you create for a certain use, but you could not get a variance right now for that.
Interesting. I'm imagining where it possibly was.
I know, believe me, we thought like, oh my gosh, a polo club, I could just imagine it'd be beautiful.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
thing is, it would be easier for them to just turn into a nonprofit than it would be to be a for-profit.
Got it. Thank you. I won't, sorry, I didn't mean to go off tangent.
This is maybe a nitpicking thing, but it's weird to have I think it's kind of weird to have a prohibitions line because there are no affirmatively prohibited things. It's the opposite. So maybe just a statement that says, anything not listed C is prohibited, see 240-1.6.
Yeah, yeah.
All
I think
240-1.6 says. So I think that's what the intention of the line is to say, see this section, it's prohibited. I mean, I don't really care. We can take it out, but it's.
yeah, I don't think
it's-
I'd put it in it because it's table of use, and everyone's coming here for use,
Right.
not prohibitions.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Um,
Well, I'm not sure what you're saying there, but if there are specific things that are prohibited, you might want to list them because, sometimes it can be a matter of interpretation. So if you don't specifically list for-profit clubs as prohibited, you would say, oh, well, this isn't a club, it's an assembly, so it's permissive.
We would say under assembly, excluding gun clubs, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be in the definition of assembly if there was something prohibited specifically, but I don't think we want to put a line in the table for it. It would just be under the primary category. Just like we talked about excluding, mortuaries from trade, right? Or some of those other examples.
So even in the definition they have assembly, when they have got private clubs or lodge, they say used by nonprofit, social blah, blah, blah. They don't even list for-profit in it. We may want to, it's up to you guys if you want to have for-profit allowed or you want to keep it just nonprofits.
sorry, where is this?
So under assembly,
Yeah.
in the definition of examples that they gave, they have the first one is private club or lodge. And they say a facility used by nonprofit social, sports, or civic organizations, blah, blah, blah. So they still did not list for-profits under an assembly as.
I'm going to share my screen because assembly is one of the ones that gives me the most heartburn. Like, I don't really understand that category.
And we can change the title.
Yep. And in our bylaws, we have club.
Yep.
We don't have an allow, which is nonprofit.
Right.
With limited commercial activities. Catering exclusively to members and their guests. So you can't, like the yacht club can't put out a public flyer that says open house.
Well,
right?
they call it guests.
But if you had I'm thinking of like the polo club, right? If you had a big hunt event, I guess, I don't know.
But they do say, limited concessions for members and organizational fundraising. So they, if they're fundraising, you could allow, I think guests fit that. It's question, we can make it tighter or looser, I guess.
And then we won't have these things, right?
Right.
Well, some of this is, I think we're getting a little bit off track because of the way this has been put together, that these things are all under assembly. But if we just have a category called assembly, we're going to have to define it somewhere.
Yes.
What is assembly? So we could pick, 1, 3, and 4 or whatever, and, have them in the definition and not have the rest of the definition.
Agreed. Yeah.
I mean, we have to define what assembly is anyway. I mean, it's not self-evident.
What if you want to say assembly/clubs?
Yeah, I would probably want to do that because right now we have clubs in our bylaw, right?
Right.
So if we just lose clubs altogether, like when I first looked at this list, I was like, oh, clubs is missing.
Right.
But then Heidi explained to me that it's under assembly, but that's not intuitive to me.
No, but so if you make that assembly/clubs, that will help the
Because
transition. But I think the fact that they allow meeting spaces and other things or conference spaces would be good to keep in.
yeah.
But I don't think we need the theater or the other, whatever they had.
The entertainment venues.
Right, we don't need the entertainment. And then if we still have it as the nonprofit portion, I mean, I guess it's up to you to decide, do you want to limit profit or nonprofit?
The thought I have is that I would assume that the state has some definition of places of assembly in terms of usage, number of occupants, etc., that we have to make sure that we are compliant with.
I mean, all these things have to be defined somewhere, right? We'd have to
Right.
add them to the definitions or, put them somewhere because
We have
Yeah.
sample definitions for many of them in the Word document that Heidi sent
yes,
that we can use as a starting point.
yes.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to keep our notes here of what we're saying we want to be sure to include
Yeah.
on the side so that we can make sure those get worked into the definitions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because what became apparent on it, until we get this more solidified, it's holding up our redlining and adding the definitions in the other parts. Like this is really gonna
It's
be an
central.
important, central to our bylaw. So we can revisit still some of the, whether it's site plan review or permit things after, but if we can get tonight at least to some of the categories of what we want to see in it, it would really help.
And someone asked, why are we deleting clean manufacturing? And I just had, the reason it got deleted was because I had asked earlier, what is clean manufacturing? And nobody knew. So,
No, and I didn't see it in this list of.
so whoever's suggesting that we keep clean manufacturing, what is your vision of what clean manufacturing is?
I asked that question and it was only because this was before we decided that anything that's fully prohibited is we're just going to be silent on that. So
got it. Okay.
I was thinking it was just going to have X's across
Got
it.
it.
It was going to be there,
Okay.
but it'd be X'd out. But we're
Okay.
not doing it that way.
Got it. That's right. I forgot that.
I guess, I mean, the thing I'm wondering about is sort of the justification I heard about this like an hour ago or whenever. It seemed to me that we were saying the reason we're doing this is to reduce the number of categories. So are we going from like 50 to 30 or something? And it's like, but then we have these subcategories, we still list all 50 things. I mean,
Yeah.
It's not even clear to me why we're doing this at this point. Are we actually trying to change anything about what we're permitting or not? Or are we just trying to do a reorganization so that it looks different?
I think in this conversation, we've been trying to change to include things that are not explicitly in our bylaws right now.
Uh-huh.
Right? Like a lot of this stuff, this is not just a recategorization. There are definitely new categories that have been proposed in here. And I do think that there is still an effort that could be done to lump them, right? So for example, bars, pubs, and taverns and eating place, right? They have the same line on the land use, right? They could probably be one category that includes bars, pubs, taverns, and eating places, right? We just have it like right now we're just kind of brainstorming. So I do think there is an opportunity to consolidate some of these lines and have a cleaner table that's a little more intuitive. But the main issue here, Rob, is that this is how it's currently listed. And so when we created 2A protected use ADU, this other ADU was wherever it is. I don't know. Where's the other ADU?
We got rid of
did
number 27, but
it got taken out. There was
Yeah.
a number 27 down here that was like low income ADU. But
Yep.
because this chart had no organization, it was just like out of sight, out of mind, right? So when we created this ADU, because this chart is this list is so disorganized, it's like you can't look through the whole list and understand it. So the idea is firstly a reorganization where Heidi's done commercial, residential. Yeah, I think residential will come first in zoning, right? But then
Yes, no, it should
commercial,
be first, but I just, yeah.
ag, and just like some broader categories that allows you to like consider what category you might fall into and be able to better find your use, right? But then also to clean it up a little bit and to both expand the uses that are allowed in town so we can promote more business in town, but also not do that by adding a bunch of lines into the table to make it more confusing. So do that in this nested approach that, yeah, it looks really long right now, but like we're not done. We're just talking right now, right? So maybe some of these would be consolidated where it makes sense to do that.
Well, we could consider taking out large format retail. Would we ever have that?
30,000 square feet
Yeah.
was the example threshold.
Right,
It just would
I don't
fall
think we
under
have a site
retail.
for it.
right.
Like,
It would fall under retail, which is allowed. So what we're saying is that if
Well,
it's
but we'd have-
large to whatever designation we decide, it doesn't have to be 30,000, that it requires a permit. Whereas if it's not,
So you're thinking we would just designate something less than 30,000?
I don't know,
Well,
I'm just talking out loud.
30,000 is a lot for somewhere like Sherborn. Might be
Well,
10,000.
Yeah.
Nora.
You have the big, George Fisk owns that building, that big, huge red building, past the tennis courts.
Hmm.
That's a large, professional building that was built in the 80s. Somebody wanted to, buy that. That could be at potentially 30,000.
Wow.
I mean, I
Really?
just, I don't know what off the top of my head how big it is, but it's a couple
Right.
stories and whatnot.
But we could say more than 10,000, it's still by permit. You're still saying it's allowed, but it's by a special permit. But we could make it 10,000. It doesn't have to be 30,000.
I think 10,000 is even a lot, but
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And I did look up clean manufacturing. It just means that create little or no pollution, hazardous waste, objectionable odors, excessive noise, dust, smoke, or other environmental impacts. So that's
Is
what
that
that
in
is.
our, if that's in our bylaws, great. If that's a general AI type definition,
No, that was just a general AI. I'm just saying I looked it up, not in the bylaws, but I just looked it up for,
We don't-
what would be
Yeah,
clean manufacturing.
We don't
We
have
don't have it.
manufacturing.
I
in
think
our
it would be like
existing.
I think it would be like pharmaceutical manufacturing, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Right now, if it's not listed, it's not allowed. So manufacturing is not allowed.
Oh, so I think under utility, we only have accessory solar and battery right now.
Right.
I think we need to have primary as well.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. It's going to have its own bylaw, but we do want to
Will
have
they
a
be
separate one for accessory, just
Okay.
and we'll be defining what the size is.
Like that?
Yeah, and I probably would do battery energy storage as well.
I thought the bylaw that we looked at said battery energy storage is primary or accessory.
Jane is doing a separate
Well-
battery energy storage one.
Battery energy storage, they handle it a little differently. They have like tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3.
Yeah.
Based on size. So I do think, and they're not all. I mean, accessory is a term that's used in that bylaw, but it is not used. The concept of primary would also be relevant in that context, I guess, is what I'm saying.
So maybe there is no accessory battery, it's just battery energy storage system, because within that they already have the levels.
I think it depends on what we decide to do, but
Yeah.
accessory is a separate concept. They have they have tiers depending on size, but then they also
Yeah.
have accessory being, just sort of related to the primary.
Yeah. When you think of accessory, to me, it's like, the solar panels on a house or over a garage or things that you kind of do want to allow at a certain level versus the larger ones.
So do we want an accessory BESS?
Why don't you put in there for now and to be determined?
Yeah.
Because that I'm okay with, a few things going. It's more the commercial I was trying to focus on.
But would it be helpful, to Rob's point, would it be helpful to flag the things that we're adding that are not currently there? Because that is a substantive new inclusion.
Well, but a lot of them were expanding, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could probably.
Like, I'm just scanning quickly. I don't think automotive is there right now.
We have repair shop. We have repair shop. So where is it? Repair shop, right?
Yep.
So we're expanding it to an automotive use with repair shop in it. I don't know what else is in it. Let's see.
Yeah.
It all comes down to the definitions, really.
It does. It does.
Yeah, right.
A gas station is automotive too in this
Right.
in
So
our
is a car
example.
wash. Yeah, and so is a car wash.
Yeah.
So we don't really know right now whether we mean to include those things or not until we decide what the definitions are going to be. Right?
Well, but if we
But I
get
think
what we want, I can then get the definitions for us to look at.
Okay.
I would say the bars, pubs, and taverns, I would probably make it restaurants and bars. And then in the nested, we can talk about pubs or taverns or other things, but kind of combine those two.
Yep. And take out eating place, right?
Yep.
Would hotel and bed and breakfast also be combined?
That's what I was thinking as well, too, is combine those.
Well, how do you distinguish those? A hotel is beyond a certain limit. You probably don't want that.
In the definition we got, bed and breakfast was limited to 6 bedrooms. I don't know if we would necessarily use that definition, but they did make that distinction definitionally.
So maybe we don't even want hotel, we just want to list bed and breakfast.
Yeah, probably.
Does that imply though that you have to have food establishment? You know what I mean? Like, couldn't you have a small boutique hotel that doesn't serve breakfast?
Well, you've got Fireside right now, which is a bed and breakfast in a way. I don't know if they even serve it, but they do have hotel rooms now.
I would be more inclined to say hotel, bed and breakfast, and just say in the definition,
Yep.
allow prohibited over 6 bedrooms or something like that.
Yeah.
Rather than I don't
Not-
I don't know the
Yeah.
industry well enough to know if there's an implication.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So office and creative enterprise, do you want to make that just an allowed, so it's a by right use in the business general?
And that has a definition.
Yep. Facilities where professional, medical, creative, and general business activities are conducted, from conventional business transactions to specialized professional services, including, and there they had professional, medical, dental, creative enterprises, artisanal. I would probably take out the medical dental on that. I don't know. I mean, I just think that I don't know if we want that to have some type of a site plan review for those aspects.
Like,
Or
there's no threshold or limit here in the definition. So you don't want an office building, but you want to allow all these other categories.
yeah.
Like that, Heidi, add a medical and dental with a permit.
Yeah, that's what I would do, just because I just think you have to have more patient sanitary things. I don't.
I think those were the categories. Something like that were the
Yeah.
categories.
Yeah.
What
That
is
makes sense to me.
is creative supposed to be a substitute for craft? Because we have craft currently.
Creative is a space used by artists for the creation of artwork and by design professionals, including architects, industrial designers, media production, such as video production, editing, performance, art rehearsal spaces, art exhibition, art sales or services, co-working, design services, and arts education.
And craft is different.
Yep, they have artisanal production, a space used for on-site production of hand fabricated, hand manufacturers. It goes on and on about what it is, including apparel manufacturing, cabinet furniture making, glassworking, jewelry making, metalworking, pottery, sculpture, etc.
You know what? You have in your notes on this Word doc that we should replace craft shops with
Yes.
with this. So maybe
yeah.
maybe I think Jane's right that where's the craft one?
Office and creative. It's not under here. It's on our
in the existing table of uses.
Existing table of uses.
We had craft shop. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's now
creative enterprise. Office
maybe
and
I'll
creative
put craft
enterprise.
shop here.
Yeah.
I do think I feel like having the creative enterprise in the office line makes office confusing.
I was almost thinking splitting it up and making creative enterprise site plan review.
I think if it had its own also, it might encourage people to see us as a town that wants artists. Like if we're, I don't know.
That's a good idea.
But if it's in with office, it just sort of makes office confusing, I think. So
yeah.
Although office, what is office?
So creative enterprise,
professional. Office is obvious, except that is office are dental offices, but we have, you know what I mean? Is it like back to you? Is that the office, or is that under this sensitive and retail, or the retail and services? What are
they listed as professional, all kinds of things with merchandise, accounting, realtors, bankers, financial, and then they also list medical or dental.
But we pulled out medical or dental.
Right. So then it's going to be professional, used for the transaction of business or provision of services, excluding the receipt of sales, storage, or processing of merchandise, but it is for offices for attorneys, accountants, realtors, bankers, financial advisors, counselors, or similar professions, as well as shared office and co-working spaces.
So where's the physical therapy office?
That'd be medical.
Mental, I think, yeah. Or is it service?
What did you say, Brett?
Well, I was gonna say it's medical, but it's also personal services because they do like physical therapy and Pilates and massages and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're right. It could be professional services.
Insurance too, so it's medical. I don't.
Yeah, I would have said because PT is medical.
Yeah,
because under personal, they say it's hair salons, barber shops, tanning beds, dry cleaning, print shops, photography studios, and similar services. So it's really not
sense to me.
Yeah.
So where is like a Pilates studio? Where's a fitness center?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. A gym, a fitness center, weightlifting, anything like that.
That's also under, if you continue on, it has sports or fitness facilities, health clubs or spas, an establishment providing health or fitness services to individuals, such as through a membership model. I mean, it doesn't
where Heidi, what is it? that has
Under
that?
retail and personal services.
Okay.
Oh, personal services. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's allowed. What about like a body art?
That's listed in here, but we could say excluding body art. They even have fortune telling. But bank or financial services is also listed in this.
Under personal service? Oh,
Under
retail.
retail. Do you want to split that up into retail and another one on personal services?
No, I don't want to split more lines.
I know.
And we don't have to
Good for those to
because
be together. I think it's fine.
we don't
Okay.
have to because we can by the way we do the definitions.
Yeah.
Like if we don't
Yeah.
include body art, then it's out, right?
Right.
So so that's another way to deal with it. And the more I think about it, the cannabis business other than registered, that should just come out, right? Because that's already been prohibited
That's what I think too.
townwide.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I wasn't sure why
Yeah.
we needed
Yeah.
that line.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, then back to, is office now kind of an empty category? Have we taken everything else that was in office and sort of given it its own more specific category, or?
No, like a professional office space, like a
Well,
accountant.
Attorney, accountants, realtors,
okay.
financial advisors, counselors, and co-working spaces. Which,
I
you know,
I feel like we're mixing sort of types of categories. Like some is like the type of building that you're in, and then some is the thing that's done there.
It should all be use,
yeah.
because this is land use, right? So it should all
Yeah.
be,
So we would just define office as all those things Heidi just listed. And
Okay.
that's how we would know what it is. And then
Okay.
So are
it's hard to
people-
do it without the actual definitions, you know, without knowing what the actual definitions are, but
I can't share two documents at once, but you all
No,
have
that's
them.
fine. I'm satisfied with
Like
that.
Heidi sent them out. It's a Word document called commercial uses examples.
Oh yeah,
but they're
yeah.
just examples.
Sorry,
That's
it's
the
late.
thing.
I just
I
wanted
think
to-
that's what's getting us confused because those are just examples and we don't agree with a lot of them, but we would just not put them in our definition if we don't agree with
Right. They
Sure.
would probably be a guide or a starting point for definitions in many cases.
Right. So the starting
definitely-
point is, yeah, for us to get this, and then we can put this in a redlining version that we will all be going through and sharing, and then the definitions will be there, and we'll go through finding tuning it, but just getting us the starting point here.
So how do we craft this so it doesn't become an office building?
So it doesn't become an office building?
Like
Right.
office uses.
Well, no, like like a speculative, like someone's renting out office space, a big office building.
And I
Above a
guess,
above a certain square footage.
Don't they have to do the individual uses? Didn't we hear that from?
Now, someone wants to
No.
build a, I don't know, 50,000 square foot office building.
Oh, like on spec, and they want to.
Right, and rent out
Oh,
office space within that building.
oh.
and they're
Probably
going to
be
know
per-
what the allowed uses are.
Or
that
dare I
bit.
say it's a mixed office warehouse environment.
You could do that as well.
Well, right now we have offices allowable and warehouses special permit. So
Right.
mixing them would be,
They're going to have to go to warehouse. Because the only thing they're allowed without anything is to do office.
So
or
that
retail.
that would suggest that we need something perhaps in our bylaws that says if your proposed usage is crosses the boundaries between two, the stricter standard shall apply.
Mixed use, we may have to have something for
Yeah.
mixed use.
Yeah.
Why don't we just say mixed commercial use is a P?
Well, we could just say more stringent, the more stringent,
Use?
Yeah,
More stringent requirement shall apply.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or dare we say most stringent?
yeah. So a restaurant or bar with a drive-through, then the permissive of the drive-through would apply rather than the special permit of the restaurant.
yes,
Right.
yes. Yep.
Now, do you want restaurants and bars to be site plan review, or do you want that to be a special permit?
We can't have everything be special permit.
I know, but I kind of feel some of that, to me, a special permit may not look at all of the conditions a restaurant or bar would have to meet. You know, Board of Health requirements. I mean, I feel like they may need to weigh in on that.
But wouldn't that just be additive? That wouldn't prohibit, would it?
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and research that a little more to see how other towns are handling that. And the same thing, outdoor commercial storage, I kind of feel we should still stick with a special permit on that, but
Board of Health would still be over licensing restaurants.
right, that's why,
right,
yeah, that's why
right.
I'm wondering if that is enough. Yeah.
But sorry, what did you say after that? I missed it.
Oh, the outdoor commercial storage. I'm kind of thinking that should be a P.
In case it leaches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have so few that are allowable or site plan review here.
I know, I'm trying to think like what else can we say for site plan review? Or at least we are making some expansions, not many. But you'd allow the retail uses, the office uses would be allowed. You wouldn't have to do any of the permitting with those. Home occupation ones are allowed.
That's probably the three top categories on this list that would be used in Sherborn, right?
Right.
Sensitive and retail. Why is that? Do we want that at all?
So
wouldn't that be a prohibited?
We've discussed this in prior planning board meetings because I don't know. I mean, I guess Heidi, I think, can you reiterate your argument on adult entertainment? Because I'm wondering if we could just prohibit it.
Well, you can't prohibit it because there is protection, constitutional protection for free speech on some of like adult books, and that is an expression. If we don't have any mention of it in our bylaws, we can't violate the free speech, and then they can put it anywhere in town and argue with us that they're allowed to do this. If we
how can we prohibit a gun club on that same grounds?
I think there's a public, because it's a private club, I think that the gun club's usually not nonprofit, and private ones I think we have more leeway on. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to ask the attorney on that, because that's a good point.
How can we exclude body art?
Right.
Yeah.
Or
write those questions down, because I'll have to look into getting those answers. Because the sensitive retails, I think we do not want smoke shops or e-cigs. I think they shouldn't be a P, because it kind of implies that you're allowed to get it, and we don't want them.
So would we just take retail and say excludes body art, comma, sensitive retail. Right?
Yeah, no, but then we have to find sensitive retail. So I'd probably say on the retail excludes e-cigs, smoke shops, hookah bar.
Adult
Yeah.
entertainment.
We can't do adult. So the attorney was telling me that at this point, because of the internet, he's not seeing much activity of people trying to do it, that a lot of towns are just taking the gamble that they will not be targeted. I don't know even if that's worth, so I don't know if it's worthwhile to not put anything in it. He says you haven't had anything for years coming in, but at the same time, he says it can't tell us that if it does come up that someone couldn't put it near there. We can put it in as permissive, but then have extremely tight regulations of, not near so many feet. I mean, already by law, you can't put it near so many feet by a school. So.
But
I'm just
there's something
confused.
about this that seems wrong. Have we talked to an actual lawyer about this rather than just the consultants? Because
I did talk to Brian about it.
And did he say the same thing? That it can go, an adult bookstore can be put anywhere, it can be put in the middle of, a neighborhood. I mean, that just
Yes.
doesn't seem right. You can't put anything else in the middle of a neighborhood. Why could you put only an adult bookstore?
Because it's a protected use. In the sense of that, it's a fact, like it's almost gets like the daycare type thing. If you don't have a mention, you have not designated an area, it means your whole town is open for that area for that use on the freedom of speech thing. So he said, towns have put it in. He said sometimes that causes more of a problem, like when you go up to town meetings, when that's in there, then all of a sudden everyone gets all upset. Oh, you're designating this area for that, and it's a tough choice. He says, I can't, because I can't tell you one way or another. I said, it's a gamble, that he can say he has not seen people trying to put one in towns because of the nature right now of communications have changed. I would say let's keep it off for now and then come back and revisit as we get closer. I mean, the whole sensitive retail, I would, just as you did, I would take that all out.
I did, but I put some exclusions.
Okay.
I don't understand like well, I don't know.
I know, and body arts, they have it in as allowed. And that was under the personal services, I think.
Yeah, but we said we
weren't going to do it, but I don't know if they were allowing it because of being in expression. I will ask.
I agree with you, Jane. It seems odd.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah.
So drive-through, I'm gonna my brain can't handle it being down here. I'm gonna put it up next to restaurants and bars. Okay. What's outdoor recreate? Okay.
Or production of retail and retail of food and beverage. It belongs there too.
Is that like a home kitchen? What is that's what?
I'm pulling it up so I
Or like a
can
brewery.
brewery or
Yeah.
a food production facility for processing, packaging, and distribution of food items.
Mm.
Oh, such as bakeries, cheese makers,
Yeah.
confectionaries, and meat processors. So they can include a direct sale function. Just like a brewery can include a tasting room. Okay. Okay, I feel like we've done a lot of expansion here and also tried to narrow it down to not too many lines on the page.
I think this is a really good start. And at least it can get us to the next level of going through the red line version and working on definitions for these.
Why is municipal under commercial? I guess I would put that in its own category if it were up to me.
I think we can.
Any thoughts from anyone else?
We have agricultural as a separate one, residential. I kind of agree that municipal could be its own.
Just doesn't strike me as commercial.
Yeah.
All right.
So what do we want to do next? Do we want to move on or?
We still have a few more topics to talk about, but I don't know if Jane wants to give a brief review where she's going with solar or.
In light of the time, I think the only thing I would suggest is that people focus on the last page. So solar and BESS basically track each other in terms of the model bylaws. Well, let's take a step back. So we had said we were going to work from the model bylaws. We were going to replace what we currently have and work from the model bylaws. And I think the biggest question that comes up is just what we want the grid, what we've been talking about, what we want that grid to look like with respect to solar and battery storage. And if you look at the last page of what Heidi circulated for solar, there are a couple of proposed grids there. So I don't know if people have the stomach to look at it tonight. We could, or we could just defer it for another night. But there are some questions and proposals there that, I think are worth thinking about.
I had written down just some general comments. I have some specific comments in the bylaw, but I had some general comments. For a small ground mount, less than 25 kilowatts, that's a really small system. I know we installed a ground mount at my house and I looked it up. It was about 12 kilowatts. And the special permit requirements seem like they could be a little onerous for a homeowner trying to install a ground mount. So you've essentially exempted building mount or canopy, which canopy seems to be, I wasn't sure the difference between canopy and ground mount, to be honest. But the accessory use seems to be, I guess I don't know whether my 12 kilowatt system would be small ground mount or accessory, probably accessory because it was accessory to my house. I don't know that we would have a primary ground mount that's that small per se. I guess I was a little confused if all of these would have applied to my system. It seemed like some of the requirements were onerous. For example, the O&M plan, the plantings and screenings, the fencing, the decommissioning fund contributions, those were all part of the requirements for these three categories of systems, I think. And they just seemed onerous for that small size of system. So that's one comment. And then the other comment I had was about setbacks. The setbacks that were proposed in here, and I don't know how much cross-checking was done, but it was like 50 foot front, 20-foot side, 50-foot rear, I think, for 50-foot rear for residential if you're backing onto a residential. And those are considerably more than, sorry?
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say those setbacks are considerably more than our small structure setbacks. Our small structure setbacks say the height shall not exceed the distance to the nearest lot line. So it's basically, and I know we're reevaluating that too, but we're basically saying like a story and a half for a small like 15-foot setback for a small structure. And the small structure shall not exceed a story and a half, 1.5 stories. So if we know, for example, that like a small ground mount wouldn't exceed 1.5 stories, right? Then like, should it get a 50-foot setback from the rear as opposed to the small structure, which is the same height and it gets a 15-foot setback from the rear? So just, my brain just went to like our experience and how it felt to read the bylaw given our single family residential experience.
What is reflected here was the community scale recommendations. If you go up to the grid that is in the body of the bylaw.
Yep, I saw it, which was considerably more complicated. I'll give them that. But
Now,
see,
this
again,
is
it's
the
like
standard bylaw that we're looking at right now, what the recommended model bylaw. And to your point, Steph, it does say by right for all the smalls.
Oh, that's what BR is. Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And they also have by right for canopy and building mounted.
But then it says ground mounted over here, which is weird because that's like almost incompatible with building mounted. So I was really confused by the term ground mounted and canopy and how they were used.
Well, building mounted is roofs basically.
But why does ground mount cover all of these? Why is this here? It's almost like
I think the intent is that building mounted is basically your roof, your solar roof panels.
Yeah.
Canopy is like I think they have it at Odessa where like cars are parked and then they got something over it. So that's canopy. And the idea, I guess, with that is that, that space
I
is
see
already
all of
something.
those are by right. Oh, I get it.
Yes.
And then all of the ground mounts are distributed by size. I understand now.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, community scale did make some different recommendations from what is in the model bylaw.
Okay.
Which, we can do whatever we want, obviously. So,
yeah. Okay.
So something to think about, we probably don't want to belabor that tonight because we've spent a lot of time on this, but that's one of the key things I think to look at. And then the other sort of generic question I think we have to decide is that Brian did say that we more or less could keep our large scale, if we want to, because the law is so uncertain, if you want to keep it, you might as well and see what happens. But our large scale, I mean, you'll see a lot of notes in the margin that say consider adding language, this language from the large scale. Anytime you see that, what that means is that we have way more robust requirements and language in our large scale than what the model provides. So I think conceptually we have to decide, do we want to keep all of those, very detailed requirements that are in our current large scale, or do we want to do something more streamlined as the model would provide? And as people have a chance to, look at some of the language, the specific language, you'll see what I mean. I mean, honestly, I think I don't know, Heidi, if Brian has reviewed this version or any, but because some of the specific requirements we have in some places, I don't know, it strikes me that they just don't pass the Dover.
That's what I was concerned about. I was going to say, I don't think that what we have, it might be robust, but I have a feeling it will not be considered reasonable.
Yeah.
Based on how the courts have been ruling on things right now. So I think the model one, I think we have to look out and find if there's very specific things. I'd be more for replacing ours completely because I just don't feel it's going to hold up. And I know when the Attorney General had approved that one, it was with some cautions because of it was so new with what the courts were ruling.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jane.
You're welcome.
Hey, do we want to talk about the data centers or defer that?
No, defer that one.
All right. So the next item, business general versus business professional zoning districts.
Yes, so this has come up and we brought it up last time that it came out the business roundtable where these are what is zoned right now for business professional. And it has been very limiting and constraining because it does not allow retail, it allows craft or the antiques, but no retail. And everything else is pretty much similar to the business general requirements as far as what you could do. And if you look at it, it actually is parts of 3 parcels. It's not even the full 3 parcels of in town. And it's kind of weird. I drew in blue what the parcels are, and then the red dots are what was picked to be business professional. I'm just wondering if people want to make it all business general with where we're going to have more uses defined. If it's worth, if we still need a business professional category.
So I just wanted to point out, here's the business general and the business professional. Let me just raise the top line again so we can see so I think, and I didn't go exactly line by line, but this is what stood out to my eyeball.
Yep.
Business professional does not allow retail, craft shop, repair shop, drive-through window, assisted living facility, marijuana treatment center, or outdoor entertainment. Those are but obviously these 2 are kind of the big ones, right? So,
right. You know,
I mean, to me, it's not clear to me why that dotted area has an exclusion on these specific uses. There may have been an intent there that is not captured in the language of the bylaws, but I don't understand why.
It's hard. It was interesting. Both the business general and business professionals were created in 1983 at the same town meeting. So I'm not sure what they did, but I think part of it was to kind of limit, potential growth or whatever's going on. And it seemed more palatable just to have an office location. But in 83, offices were still kind of in vogue. And, by the time COVID hit, people left. And with Zoom, the office space has gone down. And now they're the buildings that are very hard to fill. And they're very limited in use. And I kind of feel with the zoning requirements we have, I don't think we're going to see too many changes if we made them business general. So in there it's actually 3 parcels, and the top one is George Fisk. The next one down is the Clark House, the Italianate one with the barn, and then there's a vacant lot that's in the wetlands on the bottom piece of that and it is the one that abuts towards the Abbey Road one. So why that was business professional, I'm not sure, because there's nothing on it and it doesn't look like anything be built on it. But I also wonder whether you wouldn't just align with those parcels because it would be easier from maps. I mean, I don't know how someone's going to figure out what part of the triangle is on there. When I could not find a zoning map that was presented at the town meeting. I'd have to try and look through all the vaults right now to figure out why did they only take 7/8 of that parcel of George's and left one little corner.
Maybe with Kai. Maybe there was an A&R that changed the lot lines.
Well, this is from the assessor's records now. That's what they're made.
Nora?
Could it be because that's when the building was built? In the 80s?
Oh, I think that's when it was built, but why did who designed it that of his space in his lot, 7/8 of it was going to be business professional, and that 1/8 is going to be R1 or RA. It kind of has 2 zones on that lot. And the same thing with the Clark House. There's a triangle piece by the railroad that is owned by the Clark House that is not BP.
Because it was by the stables behind there?
It looks like they went just to the stable and just to the barn. But we don't, it's like you can't tell that for sure. And it just doesn't, I don't know. I don't see it'd be cleaner to try and line up some of the diagrams with the parcels, but there are other parcels in here too, when you look at the BG that also go through partial parcels. So I guess we just keep the crazy lines. But in any event, it's a question of, do we still need BP?
I've not heard a compelling reason why we would.
No, and I'm hearing strongly from the business community that, you know, they really want more flexibility. They'd like to see, you know, this, if it could be retail, they might actually get more people in.
The word flexibility came into my mind just before you said that. It would be, you know, having been at that meeting, that's really what they're hoping for.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it perhaps reflects just the changing environment that we have today versus 1983, 5, whatever it is.
Right. You know, and I don't even know if we have any mixed use potential. You know, could you put housing on the top and retail on the first floor?
How did the antique store get in there?
Under a craft. If you look at our craft store in our bylaw, it specifically lists antique stores.
Okay.
I love the idea for art, you know, like having an artist, you know, studios in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now it needs to go under creative enterprise is antiques, or is antiques under retail and personal services? Where does it go in our new definitions? Because we took out craft shop,
right,
and we made it creative enterprises or retail and personal services. Where do we want antiques to go?
I think it's retail because they're not creating anything there. You're selling goods.
Agree.
Okay, I'll write it in our little column over here.
Yeah, I think it was a stretch to call it craft stores, but that's how they did add it in.
So
what do we need to do?
Yeah.
Just if there's a leaning to getting rid of BP, then there'll be one column that's no longer on our use table.
In the proposal for the bylaw.
Yep.
And then what
would support
we
that.
do with the items that are currently BP different from business general?
I think we have to look through and see these parcels would follow the exact same things that we want. You'd allow the retail, you know, I guess you'd have to say, are there things you would have not wanted in this here and there? And I'm not sure that those items that Steph was looking at were worthwhile excluding.
I'm going to pull it back up. I think the idea would be that the BP gets converted to BG.
Right.
So then it would get the BG designations for those parcels, which would now allow by special permit retail, restaurant, service station, drive-through, and those items.
And it would still be the case, like if on one of those sites they tried to do something that was inappropriate, like if they tried to have a drive-through in a place that wasn't appropriate, it would still be covered in the like site plan review or permit or something. So I don't have any problem with this.
Yeah. And you're still limited by your septic capacity, what can go there.
The only disadvantage I could think of is replacing a historic building with one of those other uses where the historic building's really intended toward a more professional use. But
well, the Clark one is in the historic zone, right? It's in the historic district.
That's true, yeah.
So that is going to have some protection on that building.
That's right, I forgot that. You're right.
Yeah. So nothing else has to be done for there. It's just if you look, if you're in agreement, we can kind of eliminate that column and then, you know, with a statement that BP is converting to BG.
Well, and we need to redraw the zoning map so that the BG expands.
Yep.
That would just have to be part of the warrant article.
Correct.
Yeah, and we'd have to look through to see if any knock-on effects anywhere else, any reference to BP.
I did that already. I did a search for BP and business professional through the zoning bylaws and nothing popped up, but surely the consultant would be helping to comb through with that kind of stuff because they're doing that holistic
Yeah.
review.
Yeah, the only other BG in town is Sunshine Farm. Otherwise, the BPs are BG is downtown area.
Okay.
Next item.
Yeah. So 0 North Main Street land swap.
Okay.
So I guess, do you want me to go through the summary or do you want to any late?
Yeah. Yes, I can just quickly say it. So one thing, George Fisk, when we were looking at all these lands, he brought up that he would like to propose a land swap. Stefan, if you can share what's up there. Right now, around his parcel in the orange, Steph, can you bring up the other one that had the wetlands? That might be a little better.
Yeah.
We're looking at the orange and a blue parcel swap.
Hang on, Heidi. Let me know if I switch PDF windows. Can you see the wetlands now?
Yep, I can.
Okay.
Yep. So in the orange is a town of Sherborn owned parcel. In the blue is part of a parcel that is outlined in purple that George owns 70 acres, and it goes from behind the farm that he has on North Main all the way to Farm Street on 2 areas down there. So in order
this
to
whole
reach
this whole purple alignment is that property.
is that property. And you
Okay.
can see that he can't access the blue parcel because it's on the other side of the tracks. And the town can't access the orange because it's on the other side of the tracks. He currently accesses his upper land that's on the one side of the tracks through a trail going through the town of Sherborn land. And what he was proposing is that they do a swap, the orange and the blue, where he would then be able to, the trail that he's using now would work. So he also owns the parcel that sits right above the town of Sherborn one that's not in purple, because that one is also owned by him. So he would own that whole side of the tracks. And it would all be connective. Town of Sherborn
too.
So that piece I'm going to discuss. So that would not come with the town because the people that are on Farm Road are currently using that as their horse pasture. And he's proposing doing an A&R and selling off that piece to them if they're interested. There are significant wetlands kind of on both parcels, but the blue parcel would back up to Woodhaven and Leland Farms. Joyce had, talked and said, yes, you could do a wetland crossing going across, because he said it would be something you could create a trail or a little sitting area or some other walkways for the downtown center, or maybe it can be, I suggested maybe the disability committee could look into if there's an accessible trail that can be built for the residents or other parts of the town into there. Joyce and I were going to plan to go walk it and look at it, but he couldn't be on the meeting tonight. I said I would introduce this to see if this is of interest at all to the planning board. We also looked to say, I was asked, well, what would be the downside of doing this? What would he gain? What could change that parcel? And because of the 70 acres, he could put in a housing development already and not need that town of Sherborn land. There's not much more he's going to gain by getting that piece of land to add on. And would it access that one little dry spot? Maybe, but that's not going to wag the parcel by saying it's going to make his 70 acres developable or not in the future. I mean, he likes his horse farm, wants to keep it, but that doesn't, I'm trying to look at in the future, what could someone do with 70 acres? So I don't think that's going to be something that would sway a developer not doing something with it if they didn't get that parcel. At the same time, they would never be able to do anything with the blue portion because of the railroad tracks. So it's kind of an opportunity for a town, similar land swap. It's not town forest land, so it's not a 3-to-1 swap as far as I can tell. What the process would be is if the planning board was interested in moving this forward, it would then go to the select board. We'd bring it up and present it to them saying planning board is in support of this. If they would have to support this, and then it would go to town meeting as a warrant article for the town to vote on. So I'm happy to invite him to come talk more if people want to hear about it, or you can weigh in now.
Heidi, I may have missed this. Does the town own any adjacent parcels other than the orange that's shown?
No.
So we just have this random landlocked parcel.
Yes. He owns the other ones on that side of the railroad track, the other one.
But like we don't own like this one.
We do own that one. That's what he's trying to, but you can't cross it. You can't get across.
Right. So by this would expand the town's parcel.
Correct.
Like this.
Yes. Yes.
Is the acreage the same?
It's a little bit more, not much more.
Which the town would gain acreage. It looks
a little like, yeah, but maybe half an acre. You're not talking a huge amount.
Would gain acreage access.
Right. It was more gaining access.
Do you know why he would want access?
To the orange part?
Yeah.
Because he already has a path going through to reach that other dry spot on down below there. So he's got his farm goes through all that side on the railroad tracks. So he owns the parcel there. He owns that one.
Yeah.
And then he owns the 70 acres. So he owns all around there on that other side of the tracks.
But I guess my question is it potentially irrelevant, but just my personal curiosity.
Yeah.
Is there something he's planning to do on it that would necessitate this? Because if he's doesn't have plans for the property, then
right.
I'm just curious.
I just keep driving across. He just said it's something he uses and he plans to continue to use it. So he just felt why he would rather own it. But
how does he use it?
He has like going across from one side of that parcel to the other side of that parcel. There's a path going through there.
So there's an
Does he have
existing
an
easement.
No, I don't think that he has an easement. I think it's prescriptive easement at this point.
But he drives through the wetland then?
There's been a crossing there for a lot of years, apparently.
Okay.
And I'm happy to like invite him to come. He could probably make it on one of the next meetings. He just couldn't make it tonight.
So do you want to have discussions with Mr. Fisk or move it to the select board?
Well, Steph, you had questions about why he wanted it. Would you like to have him come and explain that before we decide?
He's not obligated to. I mean, I guess I was just curious.
He's willing to come. He's willing to come and talk. It just wasn't going to work tonight.
I guess I feel ambivalent one way or the other. So if anyone else has an opinion, please speak up.
I'm sure the selectmen will have the same questions for him that you might have, Steph.
I could ask to get on a select board agenda with him and just say that the planning board is not opposed to this, but they would like to have the select board weigh in, if that's of interest that way.
Would that require a vote?
I would think it would be best to have a vote on that, if that's the way you want to go, or happy to say he could come on the September 1st one for a few minutes just to be able to answer questions.
Do we want that?
I think that's a safer approach.
Agree.
Yeah, so why don't I invite him on the 1st and to be able to answer any questions and explain before the board would take a vote.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we ready to move on to other business, reports and meetings, other boards or entities? Rob,
Nothing.
Steph, or Chris?
Nothing here.
And Brett, has there been any movement with the Affordable Housing Trust?
Oh, actually, so no, but I need to check in with them.
Okay. I don't have any other business at the moment. And then town planner report.
Sure. So the next meeting, we will be having probably two A&Rs. They're really not difficult ones. One is the Brush Hill parcel. It's going to be divided up into 4 non-buildable lots. And then the neighbors, we're going to be buying some of the lots, and there'll be a centerpiece that rural land will own that's landlocked. So we're not have to worry about access. They're all labeled non-buildable lots. That should be a very straightforward one. And the next one coming on Farm Road, the Willis property they're dividing it up into 3 parcels. One stays 170 something acres, and they're splitting off a piece in the back that is for future potential for one of their sons if they want to do something. And then the house is getting its own space out of that 170 something acres. Again, frontage is on all of them. They're accessible. It'll be, again, what we have to look at. They're meeting all the acreage and frontage requirements and accessibility requirements. So I'm waiting to get the checks on those, and they will be on for the first probably if the checks come in. And then
What's the date of that? What's the date of the next meeting, since we're on a second Tuesday now? It's a little unusual. Is this
September 1st.
September 1st.
9/1? Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
That'll be on with the hearing date, but those ones I don't expect to take much time for approval. Interesting thing I did hear, and I attended a little bit of a lecture on iron air batteries, and it's a new battery energy storage system versus the lithium battery storage system. They're very heavy, and the storage capacity is, they said, up to 100 days be able to hold storage. So it's a new technology that's kind of coming out. It could be interesting because it would be easier for fire suppression and things on it versus lithium. So kind of stay tuned and watch how that develops. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. So as we said, the next meeting, September 1st. Any thoughts on hybrid or in person or just Zoom? We do have 2 A&Rs, as we said. Not hearing anything, so it seems like we'll keep it as a Zoom.
Yeah, at some point you should meet the Meadowbrook people in person. I think that's important, and maybe we can go remote in future occasions, but maybe this would be a good time to be in person, or dare we say hybrid?
Do we want to do hybrid?
Well, just realize, Chris, that if you do hybrid, they'll probably go in on Zoom too.
Yeah, that's a downside.
I know. So it might be just us sitting looking at each other.
That sounds like Zoom.
It's easier with the A&Rs to go through Zoom, but it's up to you. It's the preference of what you'd like.
Okay. All right, so it looks like, excuse me, we're ready to adjourn then. That being said, so can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:40?
So moved.
Okay. So I will start with you, Steph. I apologize.
Oh,
Oh, you asked for,
aye.
wait a minute, you need a second because you asked for a
Oh,
motion.
second.
Oh.
Second, and I.
Yeah, Jim, you can always move these motions.
Okay. So Chris,
Aye.
Brett,
Hi.
Rob,
Aye.
and I am I as well. Well, thank you, everyone. And I apologize. It's been a long day full of meetings. I'm a little bit foggy tonight. I apologize.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Bye.
Everybody.
See ya.
Good night.